welcome back to the Try You channel, where we say we don't give a fuck what you had for dinner. I want to start this off with two words, nasty and moist is how this is going to go. We don't give a shit about politics either, although you can't see it, I have a Zappa for President shirt on. So if we're going to get political, it'd be that way. But otherwise, we want movies, books, and music to be the only focus on Try You, where I'll tell you again, you go and you fill out your top 10 movies, books, music, or albums, I should say, and then you'll find other users with the same interest, and we guarantee you'll find the best recommendations on the internet there. What I want to talk about is Neil and I's. This is Neil, I'm Rob. Stefana has a shit fit if I don't say that. And we're going to talk about our number 7 movie of all time on our top 10 movie list. And mine, I'll go into it, is the Royal Tenenbaums, I've talked about this before. When I see a movie in a theater, the whole experience generally resonates with me, and that's how, and the movie will stick with me. But this movie, I think if I'd have saw it hungover in a basement, I would have loved. But I was in the theater with my cousin Seth, who I've mentioned, and my dad was with us in Columbus, Ohio, near Ohio State, and it was just a great experience. One of the first movies that it's Wes Anderson, which I could have included Bottle Rocket or Zissou or maybe even Rushmore in my top 10. Steve Zissou's in my top 10 comedies of all time, and Bottle Rocket could certainly be there. Bottle Rocket being my first exposure to Wes Anderson. If you haven't seen that, I highly suggest checking that out. Owen Wilson's character doesn't have one line that I don't think is just great.
Were you with friends when you went and saw that one?
Tenenbaums?
Yeah.
Seth and my dad, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Seth's my cousin and my father, I think. And I remember the music struck me right out. LimeWire or Napster was still going at the time, so I went home and made a CD. And the main track, and the guy from Devo, Mark Mothersbaugh, did the music, I believe. But this is really interesting. Elliott Smith, Needle in the Hay, I love that song, but that was the first time I heard it, I believe. And the speakers and shit in the theater, you really get, you feel inside of the song and the movie. And they picked that song for when Luke Wilson, the bomber, tries to commit suicide. He shaves his head and cuts his wrist, and Elliott Smith's Needle in the Hay is playing. And oddly enough, Elliott Smith committed suicide not too long after that movie. I think within 5 years. But the costumes in that, it's like a play. And, it's all set up kind of like a play. And I think the costumes could be a character within itself. It's hilarious. I don't want to quote too many lines. I remember Gene Hackman called Danny Glover Coltrane. It's fitting for me right now. I'm going through a John Coltrane phase where he's my favorite musician. So it meant more to me probably now than even then, but just everything about that movie, I could say that about every single one of my top 10. I picked movies, but I love everything about it. I can't, I was trying to think, thinking if I could relate anything in my life from this movie, and the hardest one, because there's a suicide scene, and suicide is generally not funny. There's not a whole lot I can think of that's funny about suicide, but this, when I was 11 or 12, my best friend and I we used to call people on the telephone late at night and screw with them. There was only one gay bar in our town, and back then that wasn't really something that was acceptable, especially in the little hick town I grew up in. We had no idea really what that meant. We just called there, and the guy that answered the phone, he must have been just a genuinely really nice person, and we were fucking with him pretty bad. So I called there, and 12, I was 12, and I started saying, my boyfriend, I don't know what to do. My voice hadn't changed, so I sounded, pretty distraught, I think, and I don't know what to do. He's going to kill himself. His name's Bruce. He has nobody to talk to. He's not comfortable in his life. And I gave him Preston's dad's number. So, we waited a little while, and about a half hour later, Preston's dad calls and said, did you just have somebody from the Gaslight Inn call me and tell me not to kill myself? And Preston's like, yeah, Dad, Rob did that. And Looking back on it, that was an asshole thing to do, but I can't imagine that guy must have been genuinely concerned. And Preston's dad was pissed. But I'll leave it off there, and we can talk about your 7, which is, I know what it is.
Yeah, so number 7 for me is Jaws. The first time I saw that, it's the first movie I ever remember seeing. We saw it at the drive-in, in my parents' station wagon, and I must have been about 5, and just a huge impact. And then, it had me ever since I've watched it more. And like you said, when you go back and watch something like a Coltrane reference would mean something different to you now. Mm-hmm. When I go back and watch this movie, I always get new meanings, new things stand out. And one of the main themes I think I like about it the most is the dynamic between like the working class fisherman played by Robert Shaw, mm-hmm. and then the college educated rich guy. When they go back and forth with each other, mm-hmm. and then they end up bonding in that scene where they show each other's scars. Okay, really good scene in the movie because there's no really respect between them two until they do that and show that they've kind of been through similar things, even though one grew up poor, one grew up rich.
Yeah, I forget. I've seen that. I saw it. I went back and watched it in the movie theater probably about 5 years ago, and I'd only seen it since I was a kid, so all it did was just scare the shit out of me. I'd scare the ocean, scared of any kind of anything where a shark could be involved. But yeah, the movie was great when I watched it again, and that character you talk about, the working class one, I forgot him totally, and my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah, mine too, by far.
Yeah, the thing I like about it now a lot is the camera shots, just right on the water.
Really cool.
Yeah, just really and suspenseful and posing. But yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I'm looking on Try You here. So, directed by Steven Spielberg. The cast is Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, Robert Shaw, Lorraine Gray. It shows here it's 87 on Metacritic, which is real high. I know. As far as putting it in a genre of a horror movie, which I guess you could, but
it's too good for that, isn't it?
It's well, like you said, it was when you're a little kid and mm-hmm. you see it. It definitely is. But I think when you get older, you start to see other themes that go through. One of the scenes in there that was real powerful is the mayor of the town will not let them shut the beaches down because they don't want to lose money.
Oh, that's like that. You can write today, right? Not shutting stuff down.
Yeah, and then one of the little kids dies, and then the mom of that child blames the sheriff, Brody, the main character, and slaps him in the face real hard.
Oh, I remember now.
And he wanted to shut everything down, but the mayor wouldn't let him. And then there's a lot of there's a lot more to it than what I originally thought.
Oh yeah, a great movie like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you watch it when you're an adult, it has a whole new.
And then everybody knows like the I think we're going to need a bigger boat, and there's lines like that that are in movie. Movie history.
Sure. I apologize for this to anybody that's been watching. Well, we say we should always bring up a hand job in every video we do, and the drive-in's a great place.
Yeah.
You can get a hand job from. I think if you can get a hand job from a relative at the drive-in, it doesn't really even count. I mean, it wouldn't count as a strike against you for the rest of your life because you're in the drive-in. It's dark. Who gives a shit at the drive-in? But I've never got a hand job from a relative at the drive-in. I took a drink of Seth's Dip Spit.
At the drive-in?
At the drive-in.
Oh.
I was stoned.
Did you puke?
No, I'll tell you what happened. I was stoned, and we were like, I was 17. He was, 16 or 15. And the dumbest thing about it was we went to the drive-in, and we were watching the movie. I must have got really involved in the movie. I picked it up, took a drink, and started gagging, and he's laughing his ass off. He's loving it. I still remember the taste from 25 so years ago. Well, the dumbest thing about it was I never had a drink in that car. We never went to the concession stand and bought a drink. So I'm just sitting there, and I just see a cup, and evidently I can have this. So I deserve that, really. And then he jerked me off. I did get a hand job. I was lying about that. But one thing we could talk about just because we're on number 7 is you watched Seven Psychopaths, one of my favorite movies, Martin McDonagh.
Yeah, great movie. I was didn't know what to expect, except I knew that the director was awesome because I had seen In Bruges and then Three Billboards.
Yeah.
And then the cast was killer. But
my favorite Sam Rockwell role, I believe. He's got a lot of good ones, but I just love how he just keeps calling Colin Farrell an alcoholic and.
So I know you could have had some more Wes Andersons in yours, possibly Bottle Rocket and
Steve Zissou. The Grand Budapest Hotel, I would need to watch again. I've seen it once. I think it's fabulous.
It's really good. As far as Spielberg films go, I don't know if there's any other ones that I would put up in my top 10. He has a lot of really fun movies from our childhood that are great.
Catch Me If You Can. That's Spielberg, right?
I'm not sure.
I really like that. What I want to watch is Bridge of Spies. Coen Brothers wrote it, and Spielberg directed it. That's got to be great. And I don't think I've ever seen it. But anyways, we're getting off a little bit. We should. Anything else? Spielberg directed 1949, that comedy. With Dan Aykroyd and Belushi. I would like to go back and watch that as an adult.
Oh yeah.
Because I think I wanted Blues Brothers when I watched it as a kid. So there's probably something to that movie. But yeah, Spielberg's done. We could do a whole video about Spielberg. Maybe, and Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson's way up there in my list of favorite directors. If he has a movie come out, I'll take a day off and go see it in the theater.
Oh yeah, you got to.
And he's a director I like so much. Even not being in the drive-in, I'll try to get jerked off in the movie theater, if not in the parking lot right afterwards. So we'll leave it at that. All right. Bye.